welcome back. Let's have a quick recap of this server conversation. I'm a lot less worried now than what I was 2 weeks ago. In fact, I'm pretty comfortable with how we're going forward with this. If you don't know, we are having to update the languages our websites are built in, and the main problem is the forum. Now, I was kind of shocked that one of our community members would jump up and be so vocal in giving a hand. I mean, this is Dan from the forum, by the way. Big Dan's been around for a long time. I think I first met Dan probably 20 years ago in the Dark Basic community, and that's how long some of us have been around. And it means a lot that people would, use their expertise, their time to help me out. It goes without saying. So where are we at? Well, some pretty good news, I guess. We haven't fixed the old forum, but I have fixed the code in Underwear Design, that's the crappy stuff I write, yawn. I fixed another website that's mostly templated. And I haven't fixed the PlayBASIC site, but I know the kinds of faults that's going to have. So I'm going to do that pretty much next month, and we'll try and composite all this stuff together and get all this stuff fixed up together. But the forum is what we're looking at the moment. And I've got all of the files copied off the server. I've got all of the databases copied off the server. I've got them all local as well. I've got even a second version of the forums now that I'm using to do pretty much to cache a static version of it, and that's what I talk about now. We're looking at here is the standard forums that you've all seen before. I'm looking at as a guest, so we're missing a bunch of forums now. The program, one of the issues of doing was scraping the forum, in other words, caching it as HTML. So if you just do that as guests, you end up with, you miss a lot of content and things are set to private and you can't see them, etc. So that's why I've got a second copy of the forum. It runs on different databases, everything. It's a whole different new animal. And I'm modifying that to make it easier to scrape. And by scrape, I just mean writing a little program in PlayBASIC. Yep, you guessed it. Of course I was going to mention PB. Of course I was going to mention PB. You knew that. It was coming. Come on. So here we've got it to download there's a function called download thread. It grabs the HTML, looks for any links inside the HTML, navigation links primarily, grabs things like avatars, grabs whatever else. If we have a look over here, we've got this is our empty, also some files in it. But I haven't bothered to, if people use existing avatars from the theme, I'll just copy those across. I haven't bothered with those. But if you use an avatar that's linked outside of the domain, so outside of the avatar's theme inside the forum, so anywhere else in other words, it will copy that across for you. And the theme it copies these files across as it discovers them. So at the moment we've got, probably about 50% of the links kind of working. There are some links that need some work done to them. Not quite sure how we'll solve these problems. But we are getting a copy of the board as is, as it displays in the browser, which is pretty cool. So let's run this. And this will grab, what is this thread? It's one of the ones displayable. This is hit there. Yeah, it's this one here. So it's one of the longer threads about the work in progress of 165, for example. And because we're viewing it as guest, anything that's hidden from guests will be hidden from guests in the cache version, but that won't be the case when I do it for real. So if I've got code snippets here, you've got to log in to view the whole code snippet. in our cache version at the moment, that will be the case, but long term it won't be. And things like thumbnails are kind of interesting. There's some oddities of how thumbnails are handled. I'm not quite sure. It might be because the current forum is the product of 3 different. It's the 3rd forum we've had. We had a different forum software originally. I can't remember what that was. That ran on Yan's server. That was moved to the Underwear Design server, and we switched this to the Simple Machines forum, like an early version of that, and then updated to a later version and butchered it ever since. It hasn't been touched for probably 10 years. It would be 10 years, yeah. Without further ado, let's fire this little program up and get it going. So this is just running in 164 or wherever it is. Just run it. Oh, yeah. I wanted to actually run it in debug mode. So let's grab the page, grabbing the attachments, downloading each one as it goes through and finds. So it grabs the page, phrases the page, the HTML out, looks at the types of links that we have in the pages, and uses the styling from the theme to work out what's what. So we can grab our imagery or whatever. There's a bunch of images on this particular page. This is the 2nd page of that thread. It's not super fast, but to copy the files from the forum locally took hours. Because they're all small files, think of it, lots and lots of small files rather than a few big files. And that should be it. Okay, looks like nothing's happened, doesn't it? So we'll go back to, got a bunch of HTML documents that are local. We're keeping 2 versions for the time being. A raw snapshot of what the code was, which has links in it to the actual web server links, and our butchered version, which is what we'll have a look at. But our themes have copied out the files we needed, etc., to view this stuff. We're missing some of the script links, and our avatars are copied across, and our attachments should have copied across. The beauty of this seems to be is that when you copy the files this way, you get past the encryption. The way the attachments are stored in the old server is that the ones stored in the first few versions of the older versions of the forum are not encrypted, and the ones stored in the newer version are encrypted. And I didn't want to be in a position where those files were, going to be not easily viewed by people. We haven't got thumbnails, which is one problem. I think I might just generate thumbnails later and then insert them back into the text, because my idea really here is, if you view this in the browser, looks the same, right? Nothing special about it, but all of these graphics here are local. We might have the odd broken link. These links here, they're linking to the wrong place. If we look at our page links here, these are all local to our next version. Our logo at the top is missing. We have missed that. And because we're viewing it as guests, we're getting these login requirements, which they'll all be gone. So we've got a scraped version of the board running locally. Now some of the links in the theme are still pointing back to the server, like some of the styling parts and some of the script code. But this is the JavaScript, which we don't care about really. A lot of the script codes become unnecessary really. There's a few problems that will have to be solved, but like these links to these actual individual posts within a thread, which the board works out for you, and then it works out what page is needed to give you to take you to that location. In our static version, we're going to have to sort of solve that some other way. And my goal is going to be is that I'll write a bit of simple PHP to display this back to you live. So we'll customize the template here. We'll probably do away with some of the customizations I've made in the past. Like, so let's take this PlayBASIC code block here. I might just dump it out as the square bracket PB code tags, and then same with YouTube links and that kind of stuff, and then have them updated live. So when you view the page on the server, it will just make those slight modifications for you. So it's not rendering the whole thing, it's just kind of running through and grabbing those couple of custom tags that will be needed. There's probably a few other tags that will be needed there as well, like making sure the dates and things like that are correct. So when you're viewing it, it looks like it's a live forum, but really it's just a snapshot of the boards whenever we take it. So not a lot of code, that's the key point. And it gives us a degree of security about that being something we can comfortably have and be copied around and not be lost in the future. Some of the things in the board we probably don't need. This will be moved across to PlayBASIC.com, by the way. That means that the old Underwear Design site, we don't need some of this stuff. We need the PlayBASIC forums, okay, but the DTAB stuff we don't need. So probably some of the dedicated forums down the bottom there we don't need as well. So since we're going to move this across to the PlayBASIC.com domain, we need to customize it so that it's we don't actually have things that aren't related to PlayBASIC. So the DTAB forum doesn't need to be there, for example. It just doesn't need to be there. The logins, this kind of stuff, this customization here. So really we could probably clean it up a bit too for display purposes. We might have to write a bit of a tag cloud for doing like searches on these old topics. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to try and import our existing database, our files, into a newer version of the Simple Machines forum. That's going to be on PlayBASIC.com. That's what we're going to try and do. But I want to have a version of this cached out anyway. The same thing goes for, and I've always wanted to have the documentation of PB, which is just HTML. This stuff here in a wrapped up, simple viewer on the website. So you could just go to the help file online, and that's great search engine fodder for us, and we can cross-reference this stuff between the different pages. It opens up opportunities that we just don't have normally. But as I said before, I'm not going to even look at the PlayBASIC.com domain until probably next month, sometime. Hopefully I get some time off at some point. But I want to say big thanks to Dan especially for being so generous with his time so far, and everyone who's helped out with the boards over the years. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. People have taken time to write software, write posts, respond to people, help people, teach people, all of that great stuff. Without those people, there's no point backing it up, right? It's a pointless exercise without all of those great people. So from the bottom of my heart, thanks enormously, and I'll endeavour to get this done for you, and hopefully not make too many dumb mistakes. I can see a few problems with because we're going to change domains. If we have internal links on these pages, like if we go through here, There's a link there. It's linking to another topic on the board, but it's using the underwear design / forums. So they would have to be cleaned up either during display, or which you can do in the forum in particular. You can actually have all of the posts be pre-processed, which I do like that, but it might break something in the same. If you might break something if you're not careful. And knowing me, I wouldn't be very careful, and I would break something important, and someone would cry about it and be upset and terrible. Yeah, I know. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is where we're up to. If you want to help out, please, please, when the time comes, jump on and help us get the new forum going. Hopefully we can get all the stuff across and moving nicely. And I'll offer, if you've been active around the place, and these people know who I'm talking about, you don't worry, you'll be in the loop when it comes time to help out, or have a look, or give your ideas to what we could do with the new forum. Until then, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.